The subject of today's workshop will be Introduction into Oil Painting. So we'll be looking at the very foundational basics to an ancient practice that dates back even before Western civilization, even into early Eastern Buddhism. So the participants will be learning a lot of stuff. It'll be kind of like drinking from a fire hose. There will be everywhere from panel preparation to oil paint mixtures, to drawing, to observation, to application, to cleaning and making sure that your oil paints are staying on the palette and not traveling all throughout the gallery. So they'll be learning a lot of introductory basics, but those basics can be quite advanced. I'm going to have some fun with today's workshop in that I'm going to be looking at Marianne Barkhouse's work, in which she has given us a wonderful show of little furry creatures that she has, continued to show the classical language by using bronze and various mold making materials to make these animals. So I've got a few animal pictures that we'll be studying from, and they can try to create some furry creations in relation to Marianne's work. The very first step they do will probably be just playing with the oil on their palette and just seeing how it moves before they start to put it onto their panel and make some decisions there, just to feel how the oil paint reacts with the brush. I think most of the time when I teach and instruct, I find with students is I'm always telling them more paint. The thing is that a lot of students are fearful to use a lot of paint, but that's why the beauty of oils is so wonderful, is that it stays wet and lends itself to blending and moving around. So the more paint you have on the surface, the more you're able to manipulate and play around with that paint. Learning new skills from a living artist is wonderful because for me, especially because I'm always learning and I'm always looking to people that are employing methods that I like, or even methods that I don't necessarily ascribe to. And the thing is that you're always grasping at what they have, and you're always able to, glean from them. And also that, if they can do it, you can do it, right? So you have this, encouragement that, people are continuing a visual language, and it's just like any other language. There's baby steps, but as soon as you start learning, you start to add more to your vocabulary. I am using a palette that is limited called the Apelles palette, or the Zorn palette, or the Nerdrum palette, or the Rembrandt palette, or Titian. What they did was they employed a four-color system that was very harmonic, because they eliminated the use of blue and greens. So they had white, black, a yellow, and a red, and they would mix and string all their colors from there. So your black and your yellow would get your green, your black and your white would get your blue, your red and your yellow would get your orange. So what it does, especially for a beginner and a learner, is it really limits them. And I think that's really important, is that the more you want to learn, it's better to limit yourself and work with what you have. And therefore you're able to understand that limited palette, and then see the harmony and the range that you can get with it. It's beautiful. It's so rich. I think it's so special to learn these skills in the Esker Foundation is that you have a premier, wonderful, world-class gallery that is able to, people are able to just draw from, to just walk outside of the workshop area and be surrounded by great art, and to be able to be inspired by that and take that inspiration back into the studio with them, and have fun with it, and just enjoy that wonderful conversation that brings. I don't teach per se, but I hermit myself in my studio and I paint, and but I have such a wellspring of knowledge that I have gleaned over my own education and over the years, that I'm reaffirmed that I'm able to share what I've learned with other people. And the beautiful thing about teaching also is that you learn from your students. That's a bonus and a benefit that I think a lot of professors miss out, is that they can actually learn and see like, oh, I like how that done. Or a student has a problem, because painting is just problem solving. So, how do I solve this fur? Or how do I solve skin? Or this apple, how do I create that sheen? And no two problems are the same, and there's not a direct way to solve one problem or another. So when students approach a problem and they do it differently than I would do it, I've learned because they've solved it in a way which then has added to my visual language, and we all benefit and share from that. The final steps of the workshop, or the final few minutes that we have, will one be on cleanup. That is most important. Is that cleanup is as much of a part of the painting process as painting itself. So making sure that you're clean, but also it's not so much product orientated, because in oil painting it's all about layering, especially a classical methodology. So they might not have a finished product per se at the end, but they can let that paint dry and maybe go out and buy the 4 colors that I've used in this workshop to continue on their little creatures. Beauty for me is very important, and beauty can find itself in many different ways. But Esker is such a wonderful space in that it presents different artists with different ideas, and they freely give it to the public. So you're able to take that in, digest it, and think and meditate and wrestle with it, and then just be enlightened. So it's a very enlightening space, and it's a beautiful gift to Calgary.